Yes, hello and good morning. Welcome to On Point Conversation. This is where we talk to you, you talk to us, and we give you our point of view. It's just a matter of giving the points, giving our feedback, and ensuring that the country moves on in a smooth manner. Because, as someone said, if we don't talk, we are going to head to the slippery path. This was Jeff Koinange. And today we are going to talk about floods, about the IBC, and about the ODM party. So many things have happened in the last few weeks. So many things. New people, new affairs, and a calamity in our country. Mostly in Nairobi City. Our city is safe in terms of the drainage system. Are you safe at your location? With me in studio is a guest, a gentleman who is a TV producer and a TV anchor at Ndizi TV. Will tell us more about himself and why is he here? And is he ready to talk to us ama tu atasema mujiongeleshe hata nyinyi? Yes, welcome on board, sir.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Steve, for this chance. Of course, for those who normally don't know me, my name is Geoffrey Nyakundi Murara, or they normally call me on screen Jeff Nyakundi. I work with Ndizi TV Africa, which is located, or its location is at Kisii, Kenya, and of course it broadcasts in English and Swahili. And there I'm a lead in editorial team, and of course a show host, where I do host a political show known as Sauti ya Uongozi. And then I do another program that is Kikao cha Ndizi and Sauti ya Uongozi every Saturday. And normally we talk about politics and things that are affecting, not forgetting the morning show. Normally I just hold on somebody, that is the morning buzz at Ndizi TV Africa, and as well as a trainer for media students at Kame Park Training College. And today we are here at least to share 1, 2, 3 about what is happening. Mwaso the floods, they say that they need to build the arcs in Nairobi so that they can be able to use during the rainy season. But what is really happening? And we are going to unpack it as my host is guiding us to do.
Yes, let's begin this conversation with the flood menace in Nairobi City. Mm-hmm. This is not just a city. It's the capital city of Kenya, mm-hmm. and also the largest city in East and Central Africa. Mm-hmm. What does this mean for the reputation of the nation and of this region?
I think it gives a different perspective. Mm-hmm. When you look at it. You know, most of them, the other time we saw President Ruto saying that, and other allies who are allied to him saying that Nairobi is the capital city of Africa. And when we look at it, of course, the development being done, most of the offices of maybe UN and other, and the key offices in the world, some of them are in Nairobi. And that is seemingly making it to be one of the African cities that more people pass through whenever they are traveling to Africa. And it's a good thing, having a city that everybody walks in and, of course, says that it is one of the largest. But when it comes, kamvua kadogo kananyesha, then things get to a mess. Maybe somebody may be asking, why is this happening? Yeah. And to me, simply is that there is a lot of ignorance when it comes to development and, of course, the drainage system in the city. One, the same government has given title deeds and, of course, has granted people who are doing or who have bought land in Nairobi to build where, if I can say riparian land, where water used to pass through. Remember, Nairobi is a flat area.
Yeah.
And kama mvua inanyesha na ilikuwa inajua mahali maji inapita, na wewe umekuja umeweka structure ya ghorofa kama 3 kwenda juu, it means umefungia hiyo maji. Ikikuja kupita itapata hakuna mahali inapita, then it will decide to get its own way. It's either kama ni nyumba si kubwa sana na isasukuma nyumba hiyo ianguke, ama itafute pahali pengine inapita. Kama umefunga kote umeweka wall, it means that water itajazana hapo na itakuwa inajaa. That is what we have been experiencing in Nairobi. So if the government might be looking at this way to demolish or to do with the buildings ambazo zimejengwa mahali asifai kujengwa, angalia unapata kwamba tuseme, let's say that this is a barabara inapita hapa, na nyuma yake kuna mtu unapita hapo, and then you realize juu hii ni barabara, kuna watu wamesema kwa sababu hapa sasa watu upita, magari zinapita, wacha tujenge vibanda hapa juu. Mtu anakuja anajenga vibanda hapo, anaziba mahali maji inapita. The moment mvua itanyesha, hakuna mahali maji itaenda. Mahali itapata nafasi ni hapa kwa barabara. That's why tuliona tugari kama wale wengine sisi tuko na Alto zinabebwa tu.
They're just floating materials.
And then somebody was saying that tunahitaji ports Nairobi. Sasa hizi port utazileta hapo na imagine ya muda kidogo, but if they are serious with the with what is the drainage system in Nairobi, and of course those structures ambazo zimejengwa mahali asifai, they are not supposed to be there, wazitoe tu. I saw Nelson Afi, the former Lord State of Kenya president, akisema kwamba mlikuwa mnataka Sakaja afanye nini? You know, some other things ni vitu ambazo tumechetakia, and exactly ni vitu ambazo tumechetakia. It's now the government and to guide the people. You know, if you give alliances to, if I'm the government, I give you alliances, nikwambie nimekukubalia weka mjengo wako hapa, lazima either kuna vile tumeangalia na tumeona this is the right place you are supposed to build, but if we have not, then we are doing a mistake as the government.
So from your explanation, Naka, we have a feeling the leadership in terms of following the rules and regulations set aside in terms of by the constitution and by the city county regulations.
Yes.
So can you say that the county government of Nairobi has failed in terms of the leadership? Basing this, remember in 2018, there was a guy called Ferdinand Waititu. He said that we can move rivers. So with that kind of a joke that we can move rivers. Yes, I know some cities mefanya hivyo abroad. They have moved the rivers, but in a very structured manner. In Kenya, they said they can move rivers. Do you think the leadership in Nairobi has failed, starting from the governor himself and his administration?
Actually, when we look at the scenarios that have been happening in Nairobi, the fact is that they have failed. They have failed in some instance. Let's look at juzi tu tuliona kuna nyumba zinaboromoka. Nyumba zinaboromoka, why? Because mtu mwenye anajenga alikuwa amepata license ya kujenga, akasema najenga nyumba iko na ghorofa 3. And this guy has gone up, amepata pesa kidogo, amesema ile yenye alipitishwa na engineer wake wakamwambia nyumba yenye tunajenga ni ya ghorofa 3. You know, the quantity ama vyuma vile ambavyo vinatumika pale kwa ujenzi, it's not exactly ambazo unaweza tumia ujenge nyumba ya ghorofa 10 kwenda juu. So this guy ushapewa license ya kujenga nyumba ya ghorofa 3. Then una realize wacha tu ni minimize hii pesa nijenge ya ghorofa 6. Umeweka 3 juu yake. Tumeona zikiboromoka. Why? Because the county government, kuna wale watu wanapitisha hii wamelala, number 1. Number 2, there is a lot of corruption when it comes to run and of course giving the licenses to those people who are doing the projects in Nairobi, Mwaso, building up houses. And to some extent, hata mtu anajua this land mahali najenga ni ya serikali ama si place ambavo it's not a place where I'm supposed to have a building like this. Or kuna mtu umepita hapo na ule mtu ni seasonal, what we call seasonal rivers. Whenever kama time tumeona mvua imenyesha last week on Friday, that is what we experiencing there. So the government of Nairobi and of course some of the government officials, Mwaso wale ambao katika wizara ya mashamba, I think to some extent they have failed to do exactly what they are supposed to do, because kwa sababu somebody is there chenye ataangalia mahali umesema unanunua shamba wapi, ni hapo, ni sawa tu, you can just go ahead but give us something small. If nimetoa pesa yangu nimepeana not genuinely, ile ingine yenye nafaa kulipa nimelipa, nimepewa receipts, alafu kuna mtu ananiambia hiyo land iko na kesi ama iko na hivi na hivi, lazima nitafute kachai, na kachai natafuta 100,000, 1,200, milioni 1, napitisha mlango wa nyuma so that nipitishwe hii. Na hata wale engineers ambao visit site wanaangalia tu vile, wanaona vile mambo inaendelea, and then if there is something they might be raising the red card, waseme this is not supposed to be done. But somebody is ignorant, mtu amelala kwa kazi yake, and then that is why we are seeing the city the way it is now. Of course, we have seen the president is making a lot of efforts to say they are cleaning Nairobi River. As much as wanaendelea ku clean, bado kuna uchafu tu inaendelea kutupa hapo. First of all, tungepata solution. How are we going to dump and of course even recycle ile waste yenye tunakusanya Nairobi.
Yeah.
Ni wapi itakuwa inatupwa? You know, to some extent wanaweza chukua, tuseme kama ni pampers zimetupwa za watoto na karatasi, hizo vitu zinaweza chomwa in high degree celsius moto pale na ikichomwa hapo itakuwa jivu, na hii jivu inaweza enda tu mwage mahali popote. Bana hizo karatasi, pampers, hizo vitu zote zinakimbia, zingine kwa sewage line zinafunga, alafu a few days or a few hours unapata ile sewage inaanza kuliki kwa barabara. And by the moment you are going to realize that imekuwa mess ni after watu washapiga kelele. And this is one way of watu kuteseka, kupata magonjwa. And indeed, yes, the government of Nairobi is asleep. And of course, some of the individuals in the Kenyan government now, they are not doing what they are supposed to do.
Yeah. So let's take this blame to the residents of Nairobi City, both the people who dwell there and the people who visit there.
That is it.
Are they responsible in dumping the waste properly? In terms of, hapa kuna dustbin, do we dump our waste on those dustbin ama tunatupa tu? Peje tu unajipata tu, unasikia tu nimekula mahindi yangu, hapa nimeishia, unarusha tu. So are we responsible as visitors of Nairobi City or dwellers of Nairobi City? Are we responsible?
We are not. Just using an example, I was traveling from Kisii to Nakuru. So umeketi kwa gari, mko na mtu amenunua maji ya chupa, anakunywa, akimaliza mahali amemalizia tu yeye anatoa nje na kutupa. Maybe hiyo gari kuna dustbin mahali unafaa kuweka. I think was it Nakuru County the first time iliweka rules kwamba ufai kutupa uchafu ovyo, and we saw Nakuru was very clean to some extent. But currently I know nayo ni chafu, lakini Nairobi bado iko na hiyo shida, kwa sababu sisi wageni ambao tunaenda pale, nimenunua mahindi, nimetafuna, nikimaliza natoa ile cups natupa hapo nje. Kunafaa kuwa na mahali specific that kama ni gari niko ndani, I'm supposed to have a dustbin. Kama ni personal car, uchafu yako weka tu kwa karatasi vizuri, ukifika mahali unafaa kutupa, enda hapo tupa. If we are people who are responsible like that, we cannot be having the same mess. And not forget about getting or building in rebellion lands where we are not supposed to build. Tuliona last time wakati tulikuwa na mafuriko last year, the government ilienda ikademolish nyumba mahali watu wameishi. Wengine wakasema imefanya vibaya kwa sababu hatuna mahali kwingine tunaenda. One, let the government first find a site where it's going to take its people. Kama watu wamejenga mahali babaya. Relocation. Number two, if you are genuine, wewe ni mtu kuna akili zako timamu na unaona hii place nimenunua shamba hapa na ifai, just relocate ama bomoa tu, tengeneza njia mahali maji inapita tu iende. Vile ulisema kwamba in the other western countries watu wamejenga tu vile the former Kiambu governor alikuwa anasema kwamba tunaweza songesha mtu. The reality is that we cannot, because water doesn't forget njia yake. Kama tunajenga, tujenge in a better manner with the technology, na tukiwa na hao engineers wanakuambia hii mtu huenda expand up to this moment, so up to this point. So what we do, kama kalikuwa kapana, kama unataka kujenga ama want to do something, let's do something up to this end. Hii ingine tuiache kwa sababu maji ikija itapita hapa. Kama niliona mtu amejenga nyumba yake smart kabisa, ameweka fence yake vizuri, iko tu sawa kabisa, ni nyumba inaonekana ya kifahari, ama ni 5 bedroom hivi. Maji mvua imenyesha, maji imekuja ikajaa mpaka ameweka wall, then maji imejaa mpaka juu. The only thing you are seeing ni mabati pale juu. So hapo katikati imekuwa ni swimming pool. So meaning everything that is in that house iko messy na imechezwa maji pale. So I think being responsible, so the government, the people living in Nairobi, and of course the visitors who are visiting there, and the county government in conjunction with the national government, they should work together and of course give directions. Maybe somebody can ask, why is it that sasa tutakuwa tunatupa uchafu namna gani? The county government iweke mapipa ya uchafu, ile ya kusema karatasi za plastiki zinatupwa hapa, zile za mabaki ya jikoni ni hapa, na vitu zingine ni huku. So that mtu unajua nikienda kuweka nitaweka. As much as mtu haizijua ni wapi exactly anaweka, hata akiweka any of these containers, there's some people ambao wamepewa kazi na government ya Nairobi that they will be sorting uchafu huu na wapange vizuri. Yes.
So moving forward, let's look at the issue of Nairobi being the hub of business. Does these kind of things, floodings and other issues, reflect how as a country we are in terms of, are we responsible? That's number one. And number two, don't we learn from the past? Last year we had the same thing, floodings. Haiko massive come at this time, but there's a bit of floodings. But I think there's nothing meaningful that was done between then and now.
Sure.
And we were headed to the month of March and April where we expect heavy rains. It is expected because of the season. Do we learn from the past mistakes? And also, this image, does it hurt our investors? Especially the international investors who may want to visit Kenya, because watasema Nairobi is a flooding city. It's a city under the water, so we may invest our money pale. Pesa ipotele. Do you think we learn from mistake also in terms of the issue of investors?
The issue of investors, yes, they might be fearing on what to do and where they want to do the investment. And another thing is that si kwamba serikali haitafanya kitu ya maana itatue hii shida. The thing is that we are ignorant. In a scenario that you realize there are people who have been given, maybe let's say there's a budget ambayo imetengwa to do some work. So the scenario, the budget ambayo imetengwa pale kufanya hii kazi imepangwa vizuri, alafu ikitoka pale juu wakati imetoka treasury, ikikuja kama ni Steve anafaa kuihandle, ikishafika kwake Steve atasema kwamba nitatoa tu hela kidogo. The moment zile zinafika maybe kwa mtu mwenye anafaa kufanya hiyo kazi, anafanya kazi yenye si complete, anafanya kazi nusu. So that means that people are not responsible and we are not learning from the previous mistakes. And what we need to do, I think now the government should sit down and avoid having politicians who are like ndio wanataka wafanye kazi hapo. Unajua Kenya mostly inaraniwa na politician in every center. Ukikuja kwa economy, ukuje siasa yenyewe, and even education, everything politicized. So if we can't run from the previous mistake, I can surely say that yes, we have learned from it, but we are ignorant because we are not implementing what we want to do to avoid this mess. Tunasikia every time the president stands, akichukua mic anasema, we are doing this to do this. But 2-3 months down the line, we are again back to the same problem. There is no genuine thing that has been done to ensure that hii shida imeisha.
Nice. So we are going to take a short break. When you come back, we want to know the issues of ODM. There's a big fight in ODM. We can say it's political fighting. People may view it as just sibling rivalry. Others wataichukulia kama ni just the beginning of a new game. Because there are some young men and women wamesema kuwa we are the real ODM members, nyinyi wazee you are just fake members. So after the break, let's talk about the issues of ODM and the expected visitors to the NDC at Kasarani. Who will be the expected visitors? I think I'll be there. Yes, welcome back to On Point Conversation. Today we're talking about issues of flooding, NDC of the ODM, and also IEBC. Are they ready to register you? Are you a registered member to vote? And finally, are you planning to vote? Big question. We've talked about floodings. And some of these leaders, we may chase them in 2027. Do you have that ticket to chase that leader? If you don't have that ticket, I think you don't need to talk. Just be silent and observe men when they talk. So let's talk about the NDC, the upcoming NDC of the ODM party. ODM is a big party in our country. It's been there since 2005. It's a big thing. Everybody talks about ODM. And at the moment, we have two groups. One led by Senator Dr. Oburu Oginga. Another section led by Sifuna and the team. And wamesema, we are going to attend the NDC. But the big question is, who will be the other person who will attend that NDC? And there's some speculation that the president may attend the NDC just to affirm his role in taking over the ODM, because wanasema they are orphans at the moment. Wanasema, some of the leaders wanasema we are orphans. So, and I think they've gotten a foster parent pale. Do you think this foster parent has genuine plans for the ODM? Mama tu ni yule tu he's just a foster parent, has been of them, some of this.
Well, that is a very good question. And of course, when we look at the longest serving political party in the country is the ODM party.
Yeah.
And remember how it came to be ODM? I remember when we were having the constitutional referendum in 2005, there was between Ndizi and
the Chungwa.
Chungwa. And the moment when the Kenyans decided to say that it's Chungwa, that is when Baba Raila Amolo Odinga thought about having the party. And it was registered. And of course, since then, it has been there. It is actually 20 years. They celebrated 20 years last year. And when they were celebrating that, that is when Baba Raila Amolo Odinga, or the former Prime Minister of Kenya, also rested. And since then, there have been a lot of issues here. Ile ya kusema kwamba mzazi ameondoka ameacha watoto kama kwa mipanga nyumba yake. Remember, even before Baba died, there was, remember when he was vying for the AU, a chairperson, kuna maswali mingi yalikuwa anaulizwa kwamba, je, ni nani akienda AU na ashinde? Who will be the party leader of ODM? I remember akisema kwamba pale AU nikienda huko Ethiopia, I'm not going to be to live there forever. Mpaka akisema kwamba from here to Ethiopia maybe it's 6 hours flight. I will be there by 6 hours, nimeenda na nimerudi, niko hapa nyumbani. So if he had planned his house better, aseme, if I'm not there, this will be the party leader. And this will be the other person who will be working to ensure that the party moves on. Then hatungekuwa na hizi issues ambazo tuko nazo sasa hivi. And previously we know that we had almost, ODM has been having 3 deputy party leaders. We have the Mombasa governor, Abdul Nasir. We have Paul Simbarati of Kisii County. And was it Godfrey Ososi, who was also the deputy party leader? And of course, we have the chairperson, that's Gladys Wanga, and other people who comprise the ODM. When Baba died, you know, there is a rush that was done to me when I look at it. There was done a meeting, and of course, they wakachagua Oburu Oginga, Daktari, as the acting chairperson or the acting party leader. Then afterwards, they had a meeting after Baba amezikwa. They had a meeting and then they decided Oburu Oginga will be the party leader. And we saw the, I don't know whether to call him, the ex-Secretary General, Edwin Sifuna, sworn in Oburu Odinga before the wrangles went further. And since then, we have been seeing there are now currently 2 teams, actually. The way you mentioned that there is one team that is Linda Ground, and there's another team, Linda Mwananchi. The Linda Mwananchi led by Edwin Sifuna, James Orengo, Ososi, and other people and other leaders. And the other one led by Gladys, that is Oburu Oginga, who is the party leader, Gladys Wanga, and Paul Simbarati, and of course the Mombasa governor, Abdul Nasir. So there's a lot that has been happening, more so when it comes to the way the ODM has been doing their things. Now, when it got worse is when they had a meeting, and the next meeting, and ejected Edwin Sifuna to be sent away. That is asimame kufanya kazi kama Secretary General wa chama. And of course, by the Secretary General, that is Omanyo, when of course we had that when he was reading the statement, the statement.
Honorable me.
Honorable me, and of course, instead of mentioning the name. And that is how Kenyans have been knowing him since then.
Honorable
and
me.
Things just changed. And of course, we saw Babu Wino, Edwin Sifuna, James Orengo having their first meeting in Busia. And when they had that, that is where things changed. And then we saw another one, they had it in Kitengela, that is Kajiado County. And then the third one, they had it in Kakamega. And when they were having this, there was one thing that we normally used to see in Baba Raila Amolo Odinga meetings. That is being tear gassed, and of course trying to be stopped not to do it. In Kitengela, we saw they were tear gassed, and at least one person got shots and died. And of course, in Busia, they didn't manage, nobody died, of course, kuna watu walipata majeraha hapa na pale, but they were tear gassed again. In Kakamega, of course, the similar thing happens, and later on we saw the young men, the Gen Zs and the university students saying that they have been
Mobilized.
They were mobilized na wakaambiwa kwamba tutawapea kakitu mkijaza uwanja.
Yeah.
And those are the politics that we have been seeing. And now we are expecting they will be having a meeting very soon, that they say that this month, that is March.
Yeah.
And there's a lot that's expected.
Yeah.
And since now the foster parent is there, walisema kwamba they are going to have a coalition between ODM and UDA and all the Kenya Kwanza government and the broad-based government. There's a lot that we have been seeing Edwin Sifuna saying that, since then Baba and Baba and Ruto agreed, 1 year imeisha, na ikiisha ni hivyo, hiyo mambo imeishia hapo. But we have seen that ODM party now led by Oburu Odinga wanasema kwamba they are still having the concerns, and of course they are ongoing with the talks. And even they gave a list of people who are going to be in that meeting whenever they are having the conversation on what to be done, or what's good for the party. And we are waiting to see what is going to happen afterwards. And in that NDC, or in that meeting that we'll be having, of course we are expecting the old members of ODM who just left, and they are in other parties, the likes of the current president, William Samoei Ruto, the likes of the Prime Cabinet Secretary, Musalia Mudavadi, and other members that who have been there. Remember, even Uhuru Kenyatta was once in ODM, but we don't know whether he will be attending, because yeye sasa anaonekana kwamba ako nje kidogo kwa sababu chama chake cha Jubilee kimeungana na the likes of Fred Matiang'i, that is Wamunyoro, Rigathi Gachagua of DCP, Kalonzo Musyoka. And another thing we saw just on was it on Friday, they kicked out from the Azimio party, Azimio coalition party. There are some of the members who used to be holding some of the seats in the government or in parliament. They were stripped off, and let's just wait and see what is going to happen. Will they manage to ensure that ODM is getting back and, of course, move as it used to be, or this will be the end of ODM? Yeah,
because everybody's talking about the NDC and the aftermath of the NDC. Do you think after the NDC we are going to have the same ODM that was vibrant, strong, and a bit of having this movement kind of reaction? Do you think we are going to have the same ODM after the NDC? Noting that the speculation that Sifuna will be now officially dethroned as the SG. Officially. Speculations? Not. This is just speculations.
I can say it's a yes or a no. We can be having it as it used to be, or not having it as it used to be. Why am I saying this? So, if ODM party is not going to reconcile and solve their issues within the party, and have the members who have been there, and of course the leadership yenye imekuwa pale, na waseme sasa tunataka kutransit from here, na yule akubali kwamba, for example, Edwin Sifuna akubali sasa mimi sitakuwa secretary general tena, maybe let me now be just a member, nicheze my politics within here, but chama iwe imara. And if atakuwa anafukuzwa kwa chama, then we'll be having two ODMs. It can be ODM asili, and I don't know to call it another one ODM what. Because in the Kenyan politics, there's a lot that we normally see towards the elections and what happens. And what we are expecting, it's either if ODM is going to, if ODM, if the party leader, or if the meeting that vile itaisha, kuna mambo magumu yatakuwa pale. It's either, remember, even if Edwin Sifuna will be getting out, of course it will be weakening ODM. And if atakuwa anajiunga na the other side of, let's say, Wamunyoro, Kalonzo Musyoka, then they have to do an agreement from the word go on how they are going either to share, if they win the election 2027, on what they're going to do. But from that meeting aftermath, there will be either two ODM parties, that is ODM Asili, and the other one maybe to be ODM or to be ODM. And from there, there is a lot that might be changing, and it might be a catalyst of what we will be seeing in 2027 general elections. Yes, my take.
So let's see what will happen after the NDC, because this is where we'll decide the future of ODM in terms of being the political unit, all political division. And we expect some fireworks after the NDC, but who will cool down the fireworks? That's a big question. And moving forward, let's talk about the IEBC. You know, the IEBC is the body mandated to, one, register Kenyans as voters, two, ensure that we have delimitation of the boundaries, and number three, ensure that they hold credible elections for all the political seats in our country. But the question is, where are these people? Have you seen any advertisement, any PSA talking about registering as voters? On my end, I think it's a no. Are they ready to register people and increase the number of voters and also clean the register? Do you think they're ready, these guys? In terms of finances, in terms of logistics, in terms of personnel, in all the spheres, even the political will. Do they have it?
When we genuinely look at the IEBC,
Yeah.
to some extent, to me, they have done a little. They are not ready. Last week we heard that they were requesting for an additional budget for them to get ready in preparation of the 2027 general elections, and of course buying the KIMS kits, and of course ensuring that they are hiring the staff that who need to be trained on what they're supposed to do. And to that extent, tukiangalia, we are almost one year and some months, actually. Let me say it's 1 year and some, let me say 1
Almost
year
4
and
months.
5 months
to
to
the
elections 2027. Then there is a lot to be done. Remember, these officers, Mwaso, the chair of IBC, Bwana Ethokon, came late to office, and it's something that we saw. Their opposition, they were talking and claiming that if we don't have the chair by then we'll be having issues towards the election 2027. So the preparedness. And of course, referring back to the budget they requested, the Treasury told them the budget is too high. And of course, when you look at maybe the East African countries, and of course even the Central African, Kenya is one of the countries that uses a lot of budget when it comes to elections. And we saw even John Mbadi asking them, Kenya, IBC normally uses a lot of budget when it comes to elections in the country. And he told them that use what you can manage, ile yenye mko nayo kidogo, tumia hiyo kwanza ndio tuone vile itaenda. And to me, this sounds like if they're not going to get enough budget for them to facilitate their issues here and there, then we might not be having the genuine or the genuine preparedness for the 2027 general elections. Number two, last year, I think before November, we're having some of the by-election in the country, and then they had started to register people, and there was a very low turnout. More so to the Gen Zs who have been saying we want change. And talking about we want change and you don't want to register as a voter, then seemingly you don't understand exactly what you want, and even you might not be helping other Kenyans whenever they want to make change in the country. So what happened, for example, if I may use the counties that I saw the data, that is Kisii and Nyamira counties, the registration was so low. Up to maybe the moment we were going for the by-elections, we had almost 30. Is it 30 new, or the totaling of the entire registration for those people who are changing their places of voting, the new ones, and and the new ones, totaling to 30, meaning it's either wale wenye wanabadilisha mali wanapigia kura ni wengi kuliko wenye wanaregister, and that was the number that was there. At least 10 of them ni watu ambao walikuwa ni new, and the 20 ni watu ambao wamebadilisha the location where they will be voting from. And that shows or raises a lot of questions. As much as IBC needs to do a lot of publication in terms of advertisements, and the PR team should also be on toes, so to educate and inform this young generation, the Gen Zs, the importance of being a voter and the importance of having that vote. Once they understand that, then they register them, then it will be better. But if we move with the base that we are seeing, and then we wait for 2027, tutoke barabarani Gen Z tuseme tunataka mabadiliko. I think in Kenya has a constitution, and of course which was promulgated in 2010, that if there is another thing that needs to be done or changing the government, then it's true voting. That is, after 5 years, it's being done, or the leader akikufa, the deputy takes over,
Yeah.
and if the deputy is not there, the speaker takes over, and after 90 days then we go for elections.
Yeah.
But now ile tunatoka nje tunabeba mabango tunasema oh, Jeff must go, Steve must go, we want change. That change, we first of all need to take the voting card. Once we register as voters, then everything will be okay. But IBC needs to do a lot. To me, it has not prepared themselves, they have not prepared themselves well in terms of registering young people, more so the new voters, and of course ensuring that everything is moving smoothly, starting from their budget that they're claiming that it's too low for them to handle other things.
Yeah. So let's reflect on the 2022 general election. The number of voters who had registered were around 18 million. Those who voted, the total number of voters were around 10 million. Around 8 million were not to be seen.
Yeah.
And the IBC was projecting that they want to register another 8 million as new voters. So we project to have at least 24, 25, 26 million voters. So looking at those projections from the 2022 general elections, do you think you're going to have the same turnout in terms of people coming out to vote? Noting that last general election, only 50% of the registered voters turned out for voting. What do you think the IBC should do to entice people to come and vote? Or is it the role of the IBC or is the role of the political class to change this mentality?
It is the role of both. That is IBC and of course the politician. Like you as a politician, you need to talk, or you need to seduce your area members or residence members there to take a vote because you want them to vote for you. And of course IBC, for them to hit their target, that they want to register more voters, they have to inform people and of course do what we call public engagement to ensure that they are getting the numbers. And when you look at what happened in 2022, the numbers that turned out to vote, and what we might be expecting, it might be either more or less, depending on what exactly the Kenyan people want to do. If unajua kila mtu anaenda pale akiwa na intention yake. Kuna yule anaenda kutoa serikali iliyoko mamlakani. Kuna yule anaenda kuleta new government, na kuna yule anaenda pale kuhakikisha kwamba the current government which is there, it remains there. And for you to do this is through turning out and register as a voter, and then you can be able to exercise that. There is a probability of the numbers going high in 2027 when we look at the way things are currently. You have had people saying one term, others singing two term. And of course, from the swings and the singing we are seeing, there is a probability of a high turnout when it comes to 2027 general elections. Yes.
So we have the largest turnout after this promulgation of this constitution, because maybe it will be the highest after the promulgation of this constitution. And what would you take of the IBC, the general outlook of the IBC, based argument on the recently conducted by elections, both in November and this February? Do you think they are up to par in terms of delivering a quality, credible elections? You're just normal observation.
Waswahili husema kwamba mgala muwe na haki umpe. The fact is that they have tried where they can manage. And of course, from the November by-elections, there are some gaps they realized. And in the 2026 February by-election that happened, there's some gaps that zilikuwa zimezibwa kidogo. And we are expecting that they will be doing much more to ensure that those gaps that were seen huko mwisho hazitakuwa. And what we saw is is the members of parliament getting to the polling stations, and they used to rile people the way they wanted them to be. Hata mwingine tuliona, is it in Mbeere North? From Meru, where we saw somebody is going to the polling station with a branded shirt and t-shirt of a political party, of a candidate. That means that ukionekana hapo, wewe, you are rallying people to vote the way you want. And number two, even tulikuwa tunaambiwa ufai kuvalia mawanda ambayo yanafanana na kala zile za political parties. So we saw that, and even hiyo ilileta shida kidogo. And we saw the opposition leaders pointing fingers to IEBC. And of course, if they manage to do away with such a kind of scenarios, remember, one of the things I saw they rolled out is that anyone will not be allowed to get into a polling station. And they started from this February by election that you're not going to be allowed kuingia na simu kwa polling station na upige picha. Remember what we have been hearing and seeing. For example, let me use an example of Ekerenyo and of course Borabu, where the by-elections happened. Ulikuwa unasikia mtu anasema pale, anaenda na picha anasema mimi nimepigia mtu wa opposition, na anaenda anapiga picha anaweka kwa mtandao. And which is very wrong. Na watu wakaanza kuhesabu kura kwa mtandao, and even wengine wakaanza kucelebrate before the initial of course
the final verdict,
the verdict of the IBC. As much as yes, IBC wakati ilitangaza wale ndio walitangulia, but it's very wrong, and we saw IBC saying that it's not going to allow. And if that is going to be done, as much as kuna ile kila mtu ako na haki zake, but mahali haki zako zinaishia, za mwingine zinaanzia hapo. So we want to, I can say that the IBC, yes, imejipanga, but haijajipanga to the percentage ambayo tunataka tuone vile mambo inafanywa. Maybe out of 10 I can give them 5%. They have done something, but the 5% for them to gain it, kwanza create awareness. Tell people why they should register as voters. Tell people the goodness of having of being a voter, and of choosing leaders who can be able to deliver their mandate that they want. Not that because Steve amekuja amenipatia kakitu, so nitakuwa nikiingia, and maybe if it can manage to lower or check on the budget ambayo inatumika mwaso with the politicians in campaigning. I saw somebody was saying for you to win an MCA seat you have to use up to almost 10 million. And then kwa mbunge unaweza tumia almost 50 and above. It's very costly. So it's very costly. So they need to at least have a look at this. And the young people, if we really need change, then we should turn out and even be contesting on these seats. Tusimame, tukisimama na tuwe tumeregister kama voters, then we are good to go.
Nice. I think that's a good place to wrap everything up. That the IBC has a role to play, must deliver, and at least we've given the 50%. They have at least wamepita mtihani. They just need to improve on some of these entities, small entities. They are lying their table very well, and I think we are going to have a credible election in 2022. Thank you very much for being part of this conversation. Until next time, goodbye.